It's meant to be a deep dive into violence in London. Every individual homicide from January 2016 examined for answers. The baseline question: how can the city save lives? The report paints a very complex picture of what needs to be done to tackle violence in the capital. And it doesn't shy away from stating that at the moment evidence on what works and doesn't work is thin. In fact, they've advised the Violence Reduction Unit to quickly start gathering data and also evaluating their own schemes. And all of that, of course, begs an important question. If the evidence is thin, then how do the authorities know if what they're doing to tackle violence is actually effective?
Because we think young people are at the heart of how we crack this terrible problem.
Since 2016, over 120 young people aged 15 to 25 have been killed. But there have been only 4 reviews into youth homicides in that time.
Can you see why people who have lost people would look at that figure and think, clearly it's not regarded as high importance then?
I can see if they saw that bold statistic, that's what would concern them. What we're saying is we want them to put them on a statutory footing, we want to put them on a legal footing, so everyone has to do that, they publish them, and that we can learn from them.
So how are you going to push for that?
We're going to be writing to the government.
And then what might we do with our body language when we're trying to show consent?
Another recommendation from the report: reduce school exclusions. This school works to nurture children with an organisation called Tender.
We're not helping them fix the problem by excluding them. We're not helping them grow, we're not helping them develop. We're just showing them that we've got an intolerance. So I think by working with them as much as we can is to hope to reform and to teach students to how self-regulate.
Some people would say that it's taken a whole year to file a report which ultimately states that there's no real evidence on how to prevent violence. So what's the point in that?
I think if we've been doing nothing over the last year, then I think they could rightly say, if you've been waiting for a report and you've not done anything, then, you know, why are you in existence? But in fact, we've been doing an enormous amount since we were set up in the last year, in terms of investing in programmes like we're seeing here today in this school, investing in young people's programmes, community initiatives across London.
Liv Peck says her team is working with local councils and hospitals to gather data on violence. Today's report has prompted £12 million of new funding, which the unit will use for intervention work, particularly in local neighbourhoods which are more prone to violence.
So what more can be done to tackle violent crime in London? Let's have a look at the report in more detail now. Funding for youth services has been cut by 46% over the last 8 years. Since 2016, knife-related killings have increased by almost 50%. And the apparent cost of violence in the capital was £3 billion in the last year alone. Well, joining me now to talk about this is Donna Murray-Turner, who is the chair of the Safer Neighbourhoods Board in Croydon. Donna, welcome. First of all, in the week that, of course, a 16-year-old was stabbed to death in East Croydon, does anything in this report surprise you?
Not really. And remember that as well as my role as the Safer Neighbourhoods chair, I also work at the grassroots level. And we've been mapping what's come out in this report for a very long time. It's almost as if the report has joined us at the table.
So what do you see then on a local level on your streets in Croydon?
I think you have to speak to the people who are living the situation, because otherwise we're just prescribing and we're not actually living it. And for me, that has been having some detailed conversations with parents, with young people. You know, when you ask people to expose themselves so that you can help them and support them, it's not an easy process, but it's a necessary process. And that's something that we've discovered in Croydon. And it's working. Parents want to talk. They want to tell, you know, what's going on, where they need support, where they could perhaps improve on things. But unless you ask the people who are living it, you will never get the true answers.
And are children, their children, open to change, open to those conversations?
I think for me, my ethos is once the environment in which the child is changes, that could influence the behaviour of the child. Not always, 100%, but it's a start. And anyway, all parents, I'm a parent, there's times when I need support. And just by having that, you can encourage one another, you can signpost. So I think it's a good place to start.
As we were watching Ria's reports, you gave what I would describe as a little knowing sigh when school exclusions were mentioned. No surprise to you?
100%, and I kind of see that particular area from 3 perspectives. I'm a mother of teenage children now, I'm a school governor, and I've also taught in a PRU. So for me, coming at it from three sides, I see the behaviour of the young people. I see that we have a lot of students with social and emotional needs that go undiagnosed. We're quicker to prescribe in terms of academic attainment instead of social and emotional needs. And I also see the difficulty, the challenges of the teachers, having taught in one, but I've also been a parent at the receiving end of some biased behaviour from a teacher towards my son. So I can, I understand how difficult it can be.
All of this, of course, happens in the shadow of cuts.
That's right.
Money would make a big difference, wouldn't it?
Money in the right hands.
Whose hands?
I think we need to go back to the grassroots and fund those who are really doing the work, not those that are saying they're doing the work, the ones that are really at the coalface and helping people.
So say you were to get money, you were able to access some of these grants, what would you do? What would you do in Croydon?
The first thing I would do was open up parent conversations across the capital. I've been doing work differently.
Does that take money?
It does.
Does it?
It does, because you have to rent a venue, then you pay for food. These, small amounts of money in the bigger scheme of things, but they make all the difference in terms of engaging people. So if that was the case, that's what I would encourage. Open up spaces for people to talk about how they really feel, what's really going on for them.